games where they're not executing. But I expect a big game from this Philadelphia Eagles offense. And when we get back after Dave Spadaro, we'll do our predictions and I'll get your guys' predictions. But I want to bring in our Eagles insider, Dave Spadaro, to talk about this big Sunday night game. What's up, Dave? How you doing, brother?
Good morning, Bill. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I would have been better if the Phillies went up 3-0 last night, but hey, you can't have everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's been look, tough loss on Sunday for the Eagles at the Jets, obviously. So, and then last night, tough loss for the Phillies, but they're in a great spot, right? Up 2-1, unbeatable at home. All they have to do is get one tonight, and everybody will be happy. And then tomorrow it's over, right?
So that's what we're hoping.
But look, my focus is on Sunday and the Miami Dolphins, because we all know that's going to be a tough one. Now, to answer what you just said, Bill, about Devontae Smith, I mean, he made it seem very clear at his locker yesterday that he would play. So I don't really have any concerns that Devontae will play. I think Lane Johnson has a chance to play. I think Darius Slay has a chance to play. I think Jalen Carter has a chance to play. We'll find out later today, but I'm actually really encouraged on the injury front. But that's just my speculation. That's watching the players at practice yesterday and the Eagles are going to need all hands on deck against the Miami Dolphins.
No doubt about it. And I went through in the first segment all the categories that this Miami Dolphins offense is number one in the NFL. So outside of obviously it being a key that all these guys play, what do you think the key to this game is for that Philadelphia Eagles defense going up against this really high-powered Miami Dolphins offense?
I mean, I think, and I've been saying this all year, that the key is that they dominate at the line of scrimmage. And, they really didn't do that last week against Zach Wilson, although the defense played very, very well. They just didn't take the football away. I look at Miami and I watched a lot of Miami and Buffalo. And what Buffalo did, Buffalo was really disruptive and they challenged Miami. It certainly helped that Buffalo's offense was great. So I think it's a combination. I think the Eagles' offense has to really help the defense. The defense clearly cannot give up big plays. How they deal with the speed of Miami, I think you deal with it by being physical. You can't let anything go over the top. You got to tackle really, really well in the open field against Tyreek Hill, etc. It's a huge challenge. I don't pretend that, Eagles are going to limit Miami to 17 points. I mean, there could be a lot of points scored in this game. But I'll tell you, I think that Sean Desai's done a really good job here. He'll come up with a good plan. And the Eagles did play against Miami last year in the preseason, but before that in practice down there. So they got a sense of watching Tyreek Hill. And anybody who's not seen Tyreek Hill in person, his speed is startling. And, we were watching the scrimmages last year, and it's like, it just blows you away how fast he is. So all of that taken into consideration, there's obviously still some injury concerns in the secondary, in the nickel cornerback position. But I think you win by being more physical. You win by winning on the edge. And it would be great if Jalen Carter came back to give that defensive tackle position a boost. But it is a very tall task against Miami.
You mentioned Tyreek Hill, and we see A.J. Brown every week, and A.J. Brown's having an unbelievable season. And I went and looked at their stats, and this just goes to show how incredible Tyreek Hill's been. A.J. Brown, 42 catches, 672 yards, averaging 16 yards a catch. Unbelievable. Tyreek Hill, 42 catches, 814 yards, averaging 19 yards a catch. He's over 100 yards more than A.J., and A.J.'s having one of the best seasons I've ever seen for an Eagle.
It really speaks. You're right. I mean, AJ's on pace for something like 1,900 plus yards. Tyreek's on pace for 2,600 yards. I mean, it's incredible. And both of them are really getting a lot done after the catch. So the yards after the catch are huge too. And it's not like Tyreek Hill is sneaking up on anybody. Everybody's tried to bracket cover him. Everybody's tried to be physical at the line of scrimmage and not give him a free release. Everybody's tried to rough him up. Everybody's tried to play zone and keep everything in front of him. He just is so incredibly fast. And I'll take my hat off to what A.J. Brown is doing. It's something unforeseen 125, plus 4 straight games. He's been outstanding, right? So, they're two different kinds of receivers. I know that Miami's got some challenges on their defense. That defense hasn't been great this year, and Xavier Howard's got a groin. I know he practiced in limited capacity yesterday. So I just, Bill, I mean, and it's always wrong, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. Now, there's a wind factor that could come into play on Sunday night, but I just feel like there's going to be the Eagles have to be extremely precise, touchdowns, not field goals, no turnovers, win the turnover battle, and keep getting the ball to AJ Brown.
And staying with this Dolphins offense for a second, everybody loves to talk about, as they should, Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle. But the Dolphins have also been able to run the ball really well this year. Number 1 in the NFL at 182 yards. But we know how good this Eagles defense has been against the run. Only 65 yards a game they're giving up, which is number 2 in the NFL. What breaks this week? You got a really good Eagles defense against the run, a really good Dolphins offense running the ball. Who wins that battle?
Yeah, the Eagles are going to win the battle. It's this track team speed against a really physical defense. So to me, it's such a fascinating matchup. The Dolphins, and you're right, it's not just Tyreek Hill, it's not just Jaylen Waddle. It's Mostert is outstanding. HN, before he got hurt, was averaging 12 yards a carry. Tua is getting rid of the football quickly, not taking any hits. It's it's kind of the way I felt about the Rams game, Bill. I went in thinking, okay, if the Eagles can get 3 stops, 4 stops, that can make the difference in the game. And as it turned out, they shut the Rams out in the second half. I go into this game thinking if the Eagles can get a handful of stops, that's a major accomplishment against this offense. They've been that good. They have a team that's got a lot of motion. They're number 1 in the NFL in the amount of motion that they use. They hide people really well, as Nick Sirianni spoke about just a few minutes ago. You have to have great communication. You have to have incredible coordination of handing off assignments. Now, the question is, and you can't really blitz the Miami Dolphins, or they're going to hit a hole and it's all over. So the number 1 priority for this defense has been, do not give up X plays. Do not give up big plays. This is the ultimate test. So I happen to believe that the Eagles run defense, and if Jalen Carter would be a really big part of it, if he's healthy, that if you can make the Dolphins one-dimensional, if you made any team one-dimensional, then you have a shot. And part of that comes with, hey, take a lead. Part of that comes with, put the Dolphins on their heels, stun them somehow early in the game, and take away the run. And again, when they're averaging 182 a game, easier said than done. But I'm really excited to see how the Eagles respond to this challenge after the loss on Sunday. And the way they reacted to it, Bill, after the game was with the players only in the locker room addressing the ideas of accountability and stepping up and making sure that they are kind of refocused and laser focused. And that's the mood that I've kind of witnessed in the building this week. So we'll see if it translates to Sunday night.
And one of the things you said there was you think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I agree with you. And I think one of the keys to this matchup is going to be which team is going to be better in the red zone. The Miami Dolphins are scoring touchdowns 81% of the time in the red zone, which is just unheard of. And the Philadelphia Eagles, they've struggled a little bit. Only 45.5% of the time, which puts them number 23 in the NFL. What do you think's going on with this red zone offense? Why hasn't it been as effective as last year? Last year, they were number 3 in the NFL, had a really good red zone offense, very similar to the same personnel. So what do you think's going on there?
Well, a couple of things. I don't think they're running the ball as effectively in the red zone. I think that's really kind of where it is. I mean, have you seen a quarterback draw work effectively? I mean, teams are prepared for that. It's a game of matchups. It's a game of a chess match. It's a game of adjustments. And now the Eagles have to adjust. And I thought they were much better last week. They were 2 of 2 on their first 2 trips inside the red zone against a good Jets defense. You don't drop passes. You don't make mistakes. You don't commit penalties. The third time the drive stalled, they kicked a field goal. So, or maybe that was a field, or maybe that was the missed field goal. Excuse me. They missed a field goal from Jake. So they were 2 of 3 in the red zone. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is, my opinion, when you are in the red zone, you must run the ball effectively, and the Eagles just haven't done that as well as what they did last year. Miles Sanders was great in the red zone last year. Jaylen Herz was great in the red zone last year. And so the Eagles have to get back to that level. And, we'll see if they do it. They know it. They've been trying to run the football better. They did it well on that opening drive on Sunday against the Jets. They scored again on the second opportunity in the red zone. And again, in this game, you cannot have Jake Elliott kicking field goals. You must score touchdowns. So, and Bill, we've talked about it. They've addressed this for weeks. They're very well aware of it. I don't know what the plan is for Julio Jones, but we all look at his body and go, wow, he's 6'3", 220. He can box out. Maybe he's an option. We'll see what he can do in his first game. We'll see how much they use him. We'll see how they use him. But they've got to be better, and they know it. To go far in the playoffs, you must be good in the red zone. And that goes for the defense, too. Really, really good effort last week. I don't count the last touchdown, the only touchdown that the Jets scored. I thought the Eagles defense really stepped up and played well. And again, they go to a different class going against this Miami Dolphins offense.
Yeah, Eagles defense definitely played pretty well last week.
And let's be honest, it's Zach Wilson, okay? It's Zach Wilson. It's who played pretty well, didn't turn the ball over. But there's nothing that compares to what the Miami Dolphins are bringing to the table on Sunday night.
Yeah, and talking about the red zone, currently the Eagles defense, they're 25th in the league in the red zone, going against the best team, the Miami Dolphins, in the red zone. But good news for the Philadelphia Eagles, Miami Dolphins defense is 26th in the NFL. They're letting teams score 67% of the time. So this is the week for hopefully this Philadelphia Eagles team to be able to convert touchdowns once they get inside the 20. But Dave, so I made the mistake of telling the viewers before you came on that I used to work down with Big Dom. So now everyone's in the chat saying, ask Dave, what's his best Big Dom story? We don't talk about Big Dom. Big Dom
we don't talk about Big Dom.
Yeah,
Bill.
Big Dom's just there, man. But what a good dude.
Bill, his job is so difficult. He's security, and there's always a security risk. We see it when people run into a locker room, as what happened fortunately, nothing happened in Los Angeles, but these players are young men, and Dom becomes their best friend, and they trust him. And when you're a professional athlete, you don't sometimes know who to trust because everybody's trying to get a piece of you. And for years, Dom has been that really trusted person to make sure the players are in a safe, and coach in a safe place. And so he's got an incredibly large responsibility. He does an amazing job, and people have to understand Dom is always on. Like, he doesn't have any downtime. So it's a great responsibility. And he does an awesome job. And I'm glad he's been here 25 years. It's amazing. And we all trust him and love him. And, if anybody needs something, Dom is always there.
Yeah, I thought the best thing was I actually texted Dom when the Eagles did their autism fundraiser where you could buy certain things. Lunch with Dom. It went for like $20,000. It was something crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what people are expecting on that one. Unless he's gonna tell stories, or I don't think he's going to. So whoever won that one, it's going to take a village to make that $20,000 worthwhile. Because Dom really isn't a talker kind of guy. He's a very low key guy.
Yeah, that was funny, man. So, all right, back to this Sunday night football game. Jaylen Herz obviously would love to have that last throw in the New York Jets game. Well, not the last throw, the interception throw back. Even the last throw I didn't love, throwing in the double coverage down to Devontae. But Jaylen Herz, you've been around him, one of the most competitive athletes I remember being in Philadelphia. This week, Tua Tagovailoa, the guy who took his job at halftime. We know we're going to hear all about that on Sunday Night Football. Do you think Jaylen has any more motivation this week than any other week because it's against Tua on Sunday Night Football?
I mean, I think that would suggest that he's got less motivation in other games. So I don't think so. I think everybody's extremely motivated all the time. mean, certainly it's a marquee matchup. The story is salacious. You know, you can't get away from it. I feel like I've talked to Jaylen so much about this. You know, certainly a very life changing and career altering experience at Alabama, and how he handled it was admirable, and everybody who was in that situation said so. And so, I mean, I think Jaylen is way past that, and it's a weird reunion on Sunday night with all of these Alabama people, like so many of them on the Eagles roster, and Waddle and Tua, etc., with Miami. But I don't think he'll look at it that way. I think what the focus here has to be and is getting back in the win column. The Eagles understand that the schedule has changed. You know, that opportunity lost last week is in the past, but it was absolutely a lost opportunity. And the Eagles have nobody to blame but themselves. So, how do you get back into the win column against a team that is off to such an incredible start, that has so many weapons? And by the way, what I can't quite figure out why the why the Miami defense has struggled, because man, when the Eagles played them last year in the joint practices, well, it was only one day, but because the second day got canceled, they were good. They're really good up front. They were really active. I think there were some scuffles in those practices. So Jaylen knows that he's going against a fast defense, an aggressive front, and I know they haven't had great success from a numbers standpoint. I would argue that some of that is Miami has a big lead and teams are throwing the football, and Miami's kind of taking off the pressure defensively. So I think numbers can be misleading. I think this week for Jaylen Herz is all about beating the Miami Dolphins, not about Tua.
Yeah, and we have not seen Jaylen and this Eagles team together lose back-to-back games since week 6 and 7 of 2021. So I'm
And
expecting
we have not seen this Eagles team. I would tell you the Rams was the best 60 minutes of the season. Even that wasn't a complete performance. I think on Sunday night they're going to need a complete performance to beat Miami.
and I'm expecting one. I really am. And we just mentioned
This is the moment, right? Like you're coming off a really bad loss. And the way you did, just amazing to blow a 14-3 lead, to turn the ball over as much as the Eagles did. Stinging loss. In the past, when they lost at the Giants in MetLife Stadium in 2021, all those turnovers, they responded. When they lost to Washington last year, 4 turnovers, they responded here at Lincoln Financial Field. Now they've lost to the Jets. Let's see them respond on Sunday night.
Yeah, I hear you. And we talked a little bit about Tua and that Alabama reunion. NFL Rookie Watch tweeted out the roster from that 2017 Alabama team. It's unbelievable, Dave, how many players are currently in the NFL, and good players in the NFL. That may be the best roster I've ever seen in college football history, that 2017. I mean, look, 3 of the quarterbacks they had on the team are all starters in the NFL.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And you know, it's funny, like you see occasionally in the locker room a kind of a box from Alabama, the Alabama football team, that they send out swag, I guess, to the players. Just, hey, here, don't forget us here at Alabama. We love you. Here's some new Alabama swag. It is an incredibly deep program. And I mean, look, in Philly, Georgia's crazily catching up, right? And it's probably been the last, 4 or 5 years that Georgia's been at that level. But college football is all about the SEC and all about these 2, 3, 4 really great programs that just constantly are sending great football players to the NFL. And I love the approach of drafting from big conferences, good teams from big conferences, and the Eagles have had a lot of success doing that.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. It has been pretty cool. So last question for you, Dave. I know you got to run. Be a fan for a second. How excited are you for the Kelly Green to be back on Sunday night? Love the sweatshirt too.
Yeah, thank you. I'll let people see it a little bit better. If you want to see a little bit better, it's cool. Got the
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
sleeves.
Look at that.
Yeah. Little hoodie here.
Little Nike action, man. Nike always does good stuff.
It's all Nike. I mean, I'm really excited. I'm really excited because the fans have wanted this for so long. And Jeffrey's been put the wheels in motion 10 years ago for this. It took the league to approve the second helmet. It took to match the alternate jersey. It took Nike 2 years to produce it, and the way the fans have reacted, Bill. I was there when we opened the pro shop at Lincoln Financial Field. There were, I don't know, 700 people in line, some since 3 o'clock in the morning. We opened the pro shop at 9 a.m. and it was like a big party, and it has not stopped. And I think just yesterday, the new lines, or the refreshing and refilling the pro shop with Kelly Green. The fans love it, and it's good. The stadium's going to look amazing on Sunday night. The contrast in jerseys is going to be really cool. They've been wearing the helmet at practice, and it just looks awesome. And when I look out in the field and I think, oh man, I was here when the Eagles were wearing that. And when I think back to the Andre Waters and the Randalls and the Clyde Simmons and I'll throw a name at you. One of my, really somebody I really enjoyed when he was here. Rich Miano was a great guy. And Eric Allen and all of these players who've come through the Veteran Stadium. And they were great times when Buddy was here, and then not as great with Rich Kotite, but they did win a playoff game. And the way the fans have responded to this, I think is awesome.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it. So I do all the game day shows with Seth Joyner, and I've been enjoying seeing the throwback pics to Seth in those Kelly Green jerseys, man. And somebody
did you make him smile, Bill? See, did you make Seth smile?
Seth actually is a very happy man.
Yes,
he is a very happy man. But yeah, I think that's just his look, man. That's just his look. He always looks angry.
We did a block party back before the season started on Fairmount Avenue, and there were 8,000 fans there. It was an incredible event. And Seth got on stage, and I'm like, hey, let's find a way to make Seth Joyner smile. And Real did an EAGLES Eagles, and he broke into this big grin. But when Seth was a player, he was always so accessible, honest, forthright, had great perspective, really thoughtful answers. I'm glad he's pursued this and gotten into the media, because he's excellent. And I mean, Seth's always been just a wonderful guy to work with.
Yeah, he's a great dude. Well, Dave, I know you got to run. Really appreciate you coming on today. Hopefully we'll have you back next week to talk about a complete 60-minute performance by this Eagles team in a big win in those Kelly Green jerseys. Talk to you soon, brother.
All right, Bill, thanks so much. And hey, everybody, go Birds!
That's right. All right, guys, that is our Eagles insider, Dave Spadaro. Love having Dave on the show. Love his perspective. And that hoodie was pretty fire. I got to see where to get that. I like that thing. But, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will wrap up the show. I want your guys' predictions for Sunday night. I'll give you mine. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.